so quick to walk away. That's me. I wanna rock your body.
Alright, y'all, so I'm gonna talk about my racist ex-boyfriend in like my sophomore year of high school. So overall, it took me a minute to like get myself to talk about these stories or just more stories like this, because at the time, if I were to like tell them, I'd get in trouble still by my mom. And so now that I'm like, hey, what the house now I can talk about it, I'm gonna talk about it on here. Like nothing could happen or anything like that. It's been years since all this stuff had happened, so it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
I like to look back at stories and situations like this too, and also tell it because it helps me learn how much I've grown since then. And back then I was a dumb girl. I still am a little bit, not as bad. Overall, the story is going to be about my racist ex-boyfriend. So like this whole vibe of the video, I try setting it up like we're on FaceTime. I think I kind of like it a lot. If anything, y'all could pull out y'all's makeup or just listen and we could act like we're on FaceTime together. This all happened my sophomore year of high school, but the second semester. And the first semester, at the time, like I was looking for someone and I wanted to be in a relationship. Also, I wasn't allowed to date. I still wanted a relationship because I thought I was grown. So I was just like, okay. So first semester, I had a big old crush still on this guy I liked since junior high. But him and I were still close, and we would always text and FaceTime all the time. But he'd always tell me like stories and stuff that would happen at his school, because again, like he went to a different high school than I did. So he'd always be like, oh, this girl did this to me on the bus, and this girl did this and that. So he was being a really big hoochie daddy, and I was like, what happened to you? Like, I don't like that. So then I ended up like moving on, because I was like, I don't want no player, no hoochie daddy. I don't want to date nobody like that. So I ended up moving on, but I was still butthurt about it. I ended up distancing myself from him my sophomore year, and I was like, I'm gonna just focus on myself and my friends and my school. So that's what I did. I started focusing on myself and everything like that, and everything was all good. But my second semester year, there was this guy that was we had a class called world chemistry, which there at that school, we had to combine some classes, I guess, because we didn't have enough rooms for them. But we had plenty of teachers for the not enough rooms. So what they decided to do was combine my history and chemistry class together and call it world chemistry. And also going back, with that school, it was all project-based learning. So we all had to sit in groups, and also after the teacher is done presenting everything, we had to go back in and do a whole project about it and present it. Going back to that class, I would go to that class and there's maybe like, how many kids were in that class? Maybe like 18 to 20 kids. Like it was a whole bunch of us, but 2 teachers. And the whole class is 2 hours long. So the first half is history class and the second half is chemistry class. And then maybe like 15 minutes or 20 minutes like down the line of like when the class was about to be over, do whatever project the teacher had assigned us. And so in that class, we would jump with like different groups all the time, every 2 weeks or so. And I remember I had the same people my first and second semester in that class, but the first day going back from winter break into the second semester, there was this new person there, and I thought he was a teacher. I thought he was a teacher because of like how he was sitting, like he had his own desk and stuff. I would see him, I didn't really think much of anything, so I was just like, oh, okay, he's new, whatever. And so this whole time, I'm like doing my thing with my friends and presenting and doing my classwork, and I would see that guy always sitting with a group of like the class clowns of the class, and they would always be laughing loud and stuff, and I'm like, what was that grown man doing sitting with all them? One time we had a project in that world chemistry class, and I ended up being in a group with this guy named, we'll name him Timothy. There was Timothy, this girl, Christina, we'll call her Christina, and me. Okay, so it was all 3 of us, and we were all in a group together, and so we were all talking and everything in that class, and that guy Timothy was a part of the group that guy that would that I thought was a teacher would sit with all the time and goof around and stuff. But that guy would never come to our table and talk to him. He would always like yell across the room and talk. So I'd just be like, why is this man being so loud? So I would just be like, boy, we're trying to get our work done. Quit bugging our group mate. Yeah, it was all 3 of us, me, Timothy, and Christina. And so that guy the teacher, I don't think I should call him the teacher because that just sounds scary if I tell the story. Tell the other part of the story. The tutor, I guess. I don't know if that's even better. I don't know. We'll call him a tutor because that's what I thought he was. Okay. The tutor would be yelling across the room for Timothy, and they'd be laughing and stuff, and I'd be like, okay, whatever. And so then sometimes in that class we would have to go to the lab and do projects for chemistry. Chemistry teacher would take us to the lab and we do the projects and stuff and go back into the room and then do what we gotta do. One time the teacher had to go back into the other classroom to get something, and he had asked, I'll name that guy, okay, so the tutor, I'm gonna call him Pinhead, and that nickname is paired with another story time about my crazy ex-best friend that I'll talk about here soon. But we'll call him Pinhead, okay? Teacher was like, oh my gosh, Pinhead, can you please take roll while I go and get something from the classroom real quick? And he was like, okay, yeah, sure. So he gets onto the computer and he's calling out everybody's last name and everything. And so he gets to my last name, which at the time was Arona. So he was like, oh, Arona, and I'm like, here. He takes everybody's roll, and then I'm sitting there with my friend Ivy, and we're just talking, and that guy Pinhead comes up to me and he was like, are you mixed? And I was like, yeah. He's like, what are you mixed with? I'm like, Hispanic and black. And he was like, oh, okay, I knew that because of your last name. And then he turns and walks off, and I was like, that's okay, like, that's weird. And since that day, he would always like looking at me, or he'll like try to be loud and stuff for me to be like, what's going on? Or like try to interrupt what me and Timothy and Christina were doing in our group and try to be goofy and funny. And I just feel like, bro, we trying to get our work done, please stop. Looking back, it seemed like he was trying to get my attention, but in the moment, I wasn't really paying attention to him. I was just more annoyed at the fact that he kept interrupting our group, and also we would get in trouble for talking. So I'm like, boy, why are you trying to get me in trouble? Later on, I had geometry class with this girl named Destiny. Me and her would be in the same group all the time because that class was so small, and she knew Pinhead, and she was just like, oh, Felicity, you know Pinhead, right? And I was like, Pinhead? And she was like, yeah, you know that senior that's in that class with y'all in world chemistry. And I was like, senior? And she's like, yeah, he's a senior and he like failed that class, so he has to retake history again. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess that makes sense. So I was like, yeah, I guess so. Like, I know of him, but I never, like, really talked to him. She was just like, oh, okay, yeah, no, like, he wanted me to ask you if it's okay if he could have your number. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, dude, like, he wants your number and stuff. He thinks you're cute. And I was like, a senior thinks I'm cute? And I remember, before I even started high school, I would always get on YouTube and, like, watch videos of girls saying, like, oh, this is the survival guide of high school. Don't you ever try to date a senior because they only want one thing from you. So I'm just like, oh, okay. I don't think no senior's ever gonna like me, but I guess I know, and I'll keep that in the back of my head, which I ended up throwing it out because I didn't care. And so then she ended up giving him my number later on after school, and him and I were texting after school that day. And I remember at the time too, I was friends with this girl named, we'll call her Cootie Queen because that's what I'm gonna call her in the next story time, because that girl is my ex-best friend. She was crazy, okay? I had told Cootie Queen, like, yeah, you know that guy, because me and her had that same world chemistry class. I was like, you know that guy that's always sitting in the back or always like messing around with like Timothy and like the other guys? And she was just like, yeah. I was like, oh, well, Destiny had told me that he had liked me. She had asked me if it was okay if she could give my number to him because he thinks I'm cute. And so I was excited because I was like, oh my god, a guy thinks I'm cute. Because my freshman year, in the beginning of sophomore year, nobody really liked me because I don't know, I feel like I wasn't that cute then, so I was super insecure. And so I was excited that a guy liked me. I think which is the whole reason why everything ended up falling into like how it played out, because I was just dumb and I was like, oh my god, he wants to give me attention. So I told Cootie Queen about it, and she's like, no, dude, you don't need to talk to him. Like, don't talk to him at all. I was like, girl, why? And she was just like, just don't talk to him. Just take my word for it. You don't know him. And I'm like, girl, I've been around you all the time. And me and her had almost every class together. I was like, I know dang well I ain't never seen you talk to him, so you don't know him either. Which I was defending this man that I did not know. I was just like, you don't know him and this and that, so you can't be too quick to judge. And I'm just trying to see where it ends up going. Like, and then she's like, no, like, I don't know. I just have a weird feeling about him. And she ended up being right, but she was crazy too, okay, but he's like, yeah, girl, just don't talk to him. Just like tell him that you're not interested in this and that. And I'm like, well, I low-key am. So it was just us going back and forth talking about it. And she was trying to convince me not to talk to him, but I was just like, why are you gonna tell me what to do? I just want to talk to him even more. So I would talk to him, and he would always walk me to all my classes, like when we were getting a little bit closer, and we'd always talk on the phone too after school or FaceTime. And he seemed like a cool guy. He wasn't like nasty or anything like that in the beginning. So I was just like, oh, okay, sweet. Later on down the line, he ended up asking me out officially, so I was his girlfriend. And I was so happy. I was just like, oh my god, like, I finally have a boyfriend. At the time, Cootie Queen and I had stopped talking because of him asking me out. She didn't approve of it, so she got mad. First, I think it was April. Me and Cootie Queen didn't talk anymore because he had asked me out, and the whole time she was telling everybody that I had chosen Pinhead over her, and that shouldn't be like that, and I was a bad friend for it, and it's just a whole bunch of stuff. But again, I will talk about that story in the next video. And so I would just ignore her, and I didn't really like focus too much on the drama because I was like, you know what, school's almost over. I ain't gonna see this girl for like a few months anyway. Like, I don't care. But this girl ended up harassing me and my mom later on. But like I said, I'll go back into that story next video. Him overall as a person in the beginning of the relationship, he was nice and stuff. Like, he was cool. He would always like make me laugh and everything, and he was sweet. He would always want to hang out, but I really couldn't hang out with him that often because, again, like, I wasn't allowed to date. And I told him that too. I was like, you know, I'm not allowed to date, but I am still willing to like go and speak up and tell my mom about us, like, once it gets, you know, further down the line. Like, if the relationship's more than like 2 months, then I'll go and I'll tell her about you. And I just want to see where everything goes first before I take that leap, because I already know she's gonna try to beat me if I tell her or whatever. And so he understood. He's like, okay, cool. I started going to youth church all the time. I always used to take Cootie Queen with me to church, but since her and I stopped being friends, I was just like, Pinhead, you want to go to church with me? And he was like, yeah, that's quite cool. And so then we would always go to church together, but it was just weird because the age that you had to be to go to youth church on Wednesdays was from the age of 13 all the way up to 18. This man was 19 and I was 15. There's this one situation that went down, and this should have just kind of like showed how Pinhead was gonna be in a relationship, because I went to a football game with my friend, one of her Christian, okay. So Christian had invited me to go to a football game, and she went to another high school in that area. And so I was just like, oh yeah, for sure. Like, I used to go to football games with her all the time, but like we would always sit where the adults were, and we wouldn't sit where the kids pit was because there's always fights in that area. I'm just sitting there like, just like watching people run and stuff on the field. I don't really know much about football, but it was a good time just like hanging out there. And I had told Pinhead that I was gonna go and hang out with her. And he was just like, oh, okay, that's cool. Hope you have a good time, whatever. Just keep me updated through the time or whatever. So I was like, okay, fine, that's cool. And so throughout the whole time that I was there, I was always like texting him and stuff like, yeah, they're so packed over here. And he was like, oh, well, which team is winning, Premium or OHS? And right now, OHS is kicking their booties right now. And like just talking. So while I was there, me and Christian were having a good time. We were just talking and laughing and like seeing fights break out. We'd be like, oh, whatever. And so I had seen this guy that looked super familiar, so I was like, what the heck? And so this guy ended up being Cootie Queen's brother's best friend, and he'll be in the other story time as well. And so I saw him, and I was just like, oh, what the heck? And I never really even spoke to this man ever. I just only had him on my social media because he had followed me. I seen him, and he kept looking at me, and I was just like, hi, like whatever, because he kept like, and he ended up saying hi back, and then he left it at that. And so later on, me and Christina were just there at the game, and I got a random text message from this random number. I was like, what the heck, who is this? And all I see on the text was like, hey chica. And I was like, hey, who's this? And she said, oh, it's me, Jay. Oh, I almost said her name. Hey, it's me, I'll call her Jelena, okay? Hey, it's me, Jelena. And Jelena, she would always speak in Spanglish. So like she'll say something in English and then mix it in with Spanish and then go back to English. So that's just how she talked. So the way that she was like texting me and stuff, I thought it was her. I was just like, oh hey, how are you and stuff. She's like, I'm doing good, what are you not doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm here with my friend Christian, and we're over here watching the OHS football game. And she's just like, oh really, how nice, is there any like cute guys out there? And I was like, I'm not really looking. And she's just like, what do you mean you're not looking? I'm sure there's cute guys out there. And I was like, I guess there is, but like honestly I have a man, so I ain't looking. She's just like, oh okay. And then she had stopped texting me, so I was just like, oh okay, whatever. And so then I ended up getting my phone blown up by Pinhead, and he keeps calling and calling and calling. I'm like, what the heck? And so I answer, I was like, hello? He's like, are you over here cheating on me? And I was like, what? And he was like, I got a text message from this random number, this and that, which honestly, I think, do I have the receipts from it? I do. So he was like, I just got a random text message and stuff from this random number, and I don't know who it is, but just like going off. And I'm like, what the heck? And so he's like, look, he had sent me a screenshot of the message that he got, and it was this. And y'all could pause and read it. I'm gonna try to put it up here, but y'all could pause and read it right here. But yeah, so I was like, what the heck? I was like, I'm not talking to anybody, I'm not cheating or anything like that, like what's going on? He's like, well, I don't know who it is, like who could be texting me, how did they get my number? So all this mess was going on with him, like trying to like confront me about something, but I didn't do it. I wasn't looking. Me and him were going back and forth. I'm like, wait. And so I got a text message, and it was saying like, oh, ha ha ha, or something like that. It was like, whoa, ha ha ha, I got you, or something like that, something crazy. So I was like, what the heck? It's Cootie Queen. And so I told Pinhead, I was like, Pinhead, it's Cootie Queen that messaged me. She was pretending to be, oh my god, I forgot what I call that girl. Just call her Jay. So I was like, well, it was Cootie Queen. She was trying to pretend, I guess she's trying to pretend to be Jay because she had texted me this. So I sent him the screenshot of what she had, that Jay was like texting me. And so he was just like, what the hell, dude? Like, that girl is weird. And I'm like, yeah. So he's like, I'm sorry for like accusing you of this. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's no problem. Like, I'm sorry that all this mess had happened, because what the heck? Why is Cootie Queen texting you and like being funky? Like, that's weird. He's like, yeah, it is weird. And so yeah, that whole situation was just odd. It was a red flag, which why I say that it's a red flag and that I should have caught it was because instead of like trying to talk to me and ask me what's going on, he just assumed that I was cheating on him. Which in that case, I could see why he would react that way, but also it's like, come on now, we need to communicate, we need to be more clear about it. When summertime comes around, graduation, he had already graduated and everything, and we would still go to church together, and we would FaceTime all the time. And there'd be times where he was just like, oh, I want to see you more often outside of church and this and that, which I couldn't, again, because I wasn't allowed to date. It's just like, oh, okay. And we're maybe only like 2 months in like the relationship, so he'd be like, oh, I really want to see you and this and that. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, just come over to my house at like 10 o'clock at night, because I was like, well, just come around like 10 o'clock or 11 because my parents are asleep by then, and I could just walk out my back door and I can reach out the side of my house. And he was just like, oh, okay, bet. So he would have his friend drive him all the way to my house and drop him off for like 30 minutes to like 2 hours, and we would be hanging out on the side of the house and stuff, just talking or ew. So it was only either I see my church, at my house, or on FaceTime. So yeah, so we would just see each other throughout the summertime like that, just the same thing over and over and over. So then finally junior year comes up for me, and of course he had graduated, so he wasn't going to go back to school. He was being more protective of me because I had started my junior year of school, but I was like, you can trust me because I'm not like that and this and that. And he was like, yeah, I know, but like, there's other people around, there's other guys around that are going to try to get with you, and I'm not there. And I'm like, oh, okay, but like, I know how to say no, or I know how to put my foot down. You don't got to worry about that. That year, I ended up getting close to this girl named, call her C. So C and I ended up having a lot of classes together, and that girl, Cootie Queen, had ended up dropping out of school. And so I didn't see her, so I was happy, and I was like living like stress-free for a bit or whatever. I was like, hee hee. And so I don't have to worry about no drama or anything like that, so I was super like excited about that. And so me and C ended up having a lot of classes together, and she ended up liking Pinhead's best friend, we'll call him JJ. So she ended up liking JJ for a bit, and we were able to, me and Pinhead were able to get them two to talk, and they started dating. And so they started dating for a bit, and Pinhead would always compare our relationship to theirs, and it was just super unhealthy, and it was an ongoing thing, and arguments started coming up. Yeah, it was just a whole bunch of mess. And so one time, he had wanted to make things official on Facebook, and he wanted to put that me and him were in a relationship on Facebook, and I was just like, no, because my mom's gonna see that and I'm gonna get in trouble. It's like, no, it's fine, like, who cares? Like, then he was being selfish, I felt like, because he didn't know the repercussions that would happen if my mom found out about that. So I was more scared because I didn't want to get in trouble. So I was just like, no, don't post it. So he ended up doing it anyways, and I freaked out and I was like, no. And so then I got on Facebook, I blocked him off my Facebook and deleted that we were in a relationship together. And he got mad and he's like, are you trying to hide me? I was like, no, I'm not trying to make you feel this way. It's just like right now, like mentally I'm not ready to like confront and like tell my mom about all this because I don't want to get in trouble, and I already know what she's gonna say, and I'm gonna get my phone taken away so I won't be able to see you or talk to you. Which was wrong and selfish on my end because it was already past 2 months and I had told him that I was gonna tell my mom after 2 months that him and I were dating, but I was still really scared of her and I didn't want to go through all that. So yeah, but he had the right to be mad on this one. It's my fault. He was just like, oh, well, who gets just getting all mad about it. And so I was just like, you don't understand. It was just him and I going back and forth. And then I ended up trying to go and explain to him even more about everything. And then he ended up understanding and we were cool after that. Him and I were still going steady in the relationship throughout the first semester of my junior year. One time, C was like, Felicity, I need to talk to you. And I was like, what? She was just like, I had seen some like inappropriate conversations between JJ and Pinhead. And I was like, well, what were they talking about? She's like, it was just something like weird. Like, what kind of conversation were they having? I was like, girl, what is it? She was like, well, I look at their messages and they're talking about me, and then they started talking about you, but then they started talking about you more. And Pinhead had asked JJ if he would ever have a with him and you. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, like, why would he ask that? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, yeah. And then like JJ said that he wouldn't do it because of this and that, which still, like, it's just weird. Why would your boyfriend ask my boyfriend that when he knows that me and my boyfriend are together and y'all help me out? Like, y'all helped me get with him. And I'm like, yeah, that is weird. So I confronted him about it, and he was like, no, I'm sorry, babe, like, I didn't mean, like, it was just a dude talk, that's just how we all talk, I'm sorry. And I was just like, okay. So I left it alone for a bit. I didn't go back to it, but then it still had me feeling some type of way. So I was like, yeah, that's just weird. And so then he ended up becoming a little bit more weird later on because he would always be like, oh my gosh, Felicity, like, you're just so beautiful, like, your caramely skin tone and just like your hair and everything is just so beautiful, and I didn't know, or I didn't think I was going to be into black girls and this and that. And I was just like, and this man, race don't matter, but he was Mexican. So I was just like, okay. And so like every time he would always talk about me, it was always like he was fetishizing that I was black. Not even full black. I'm mixed. I'm black and Mexican.
She's biracial. She's a biracial girl.
He was just saying a whole bunch of like weird stuff. His nickname for me later on was Reese's Cup, and I hated it. And I would tell him I didn't like it. He's like, no, what's wrong, Reese's Cup? You're my Reese's Cup. And it was just cringy, and I was just like, I don't like it. But he would still call me that, so I was just like, Which was another red flag that I didn't want to see or I didn't pay attention to because that man did not respect me enough to stop calling me that. There were some moments where he was super sweet, and it was those moments that I was like, oh, you know what, it's just him, like, that's just how he is as a person, and I can't judge, or I love him for him, and this and that, because when the good moments were good, I would be like, oh my gosh. And so the idea that I made up of him in my head always stuck with me, so whenever those good moments would happen, it would be like 10 times more greater than what it was in person. Junior year, Valentine's Day was coming around, and a whole bunch of girls were getting flowers from their boyfriends. I went to school there, and some people that were dating other people from other high schools, those guys would come over and bring them flowers and stuff. So I didn't really tell Pinhead anything about Valentine's Day, which Valentine's Day is my favorite. He knew it was my favorite. I didn't really expect him to like do anything because of course like I'm in school and he's out of school. I had gotten a call from the intercom of the school But like, Felicity, please come to the front office. And I was just like, oh, what the heck. And so I didn't want to go by myself. And at the time I was in my algebra class, and the teacher there was super chill as long as we did our work very good. So I had asked him if it would be okay if my friend Sheila could come with me to the office real quick, and he's like, oh yeah, that's fine, cool, that's fine. So me and Sheila ended up going down to the office, and I look and I see Pinhead with a big old bouquet of roses, and I was like, oh my god. Go and I give him a big old hug, and I was scared to give him a kiss because I didn't really like PDA like that. And so I didn't want people to like feel weird if I like kissed them or whatever, because there's a whole bunch of people like around in like the little comment area things that we had there. And so I gave him a big old hug. And so I was like, thank you so much. And he said, yeah, happy Valentine's Day, I love you, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. I was like, thank you. And so then he leaves, and me and Sheila turn around and we go back to the class, and we're all like hee together. And so then one of the guys that I had a class with, his name was how should we name him? His name was Damien. So Damien was like, oh my gosh, wow, he brings you flowers and stuff and you don't want to give him a kiss? And I'm like, bro, leave me alone. So I just looked at him dirty and I just kept walking off. Because like, what? That's like, what the heck? You want to see me kiss someone? That's nasty. You weird. Everything was good after that. He was still being super weird and like fetishizing me and my like skin tone and race. So I like pushed it off because I'm like, this man ain't gonna shut up about it, so I'm gonna just let him talk and just be like, oh, okay, whatever. Which is bad. I should have cut it off there because he didn't, again, respect me. But a little bit later on, October had came around and they had a fall festival. Our school had a fall festival at a park every year, and so of course all the kids like in the school were like, oh my god, let's go, and everybody was excited to go and everything. And so Pinhead, I was gonna ask Pinhead to go, but my mom ended up wanting to go. And again, like, I was scared to speak up to my mom and tell her about Pinhead, and so I was just like, oh, okay. But Pinhead ended up going out of town around that time, so it was fine. And so that day that we were there at the fall festival at the park, my family and I had gotten a text message from that girl, Christina. At the time, she wasn't going to our school anymore, so I was just like, why is this girl messaging me? And so she's like, Felicity, I have a question for you. I was like, yeah, like, what's up? And she's like, are you and Pinhead still dating? And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, what, girl? And she's just like, oh, well, he's like been talking to me, but not like that, but he's been talking to me lately, and it seems like he wants something from me, like he wants a picture from me, and I keep on telling him no, but I just feel weird, but he keeps telling me that you and him have split up, so I just wanted to ask to make sure. And I was like, no, we're still together. So she's just like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, girl, but please don't tell him I told you. And I ended up confronting him about it, and I was like, hey, like, why are you telling people that you and I are split up and we're still together and stuff? And he's like, I'm not. And I was like, well, I was told by someone that you over here going around telling people that we had broken up and stuff, and so you're pretty much acting like you're single. And so he's like, no, babe, that's not what I'm doing. It's exactly what you're doing. Like, you're cheating on me, almost. Like, it seems like you're trying to cheat on me. And so he was like, no, just going back and forth. And I was like, you're not owning up to anything. I think it's best if we just split our ways and we break up. And he was like, no, I don't want to break up with you. And like, I still love you and I'm sorry. I was dumb and I was like, it's okay. It's alright. I understand. I forgive you this time. He cheated on me that time, so I was just like, oh, what the heck. Like, I forgave him, but then also, like, deep down, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna forget this, but I'm gonna just give him a chance because maybe, you know, like, he is taking it hard because we don't see each other that often, and I understand. And so I started feeling bad, which, honestly, looking back, like, I still kind of feel bad a little bit, but also, like, he shouldn't have cheated on me. But then, too, it wasn't fair for him either because I was still keeping him around even though, like, we weren't able to see each other, and it's not, like, the ideal relationship that he wanted, but I was being selfish and still, like, you know, keeping him as my boyfriend. But yeah, so that was the first time he tried cheating on me. This man cheated on me 2 times. And then also within that time he was talking about going to, like, UTEP, which is the university. What's UTEP? It's the university in El Paso, Texas. So he wanted to go to El Paso, and I was kind of like bummed about it, but too, I was just like, you know, like, he's grown, I'm not gonna hold him back. Like, if he wants to go to college over there, then he can. Like, I don't really care. It is what it is. I can move on easy. So he was just, the whole time he was just talking about going over there. So I'm like, yeah, you should. Like, he would kind of get butthurt a little bit because I wouldn't be like, no, stay. I don't want to hold anybody back from their success. So I was just like, no, go. Like, I'm only 17. Why are you going? Oh my god, that's so crazy. At the time, how old was he? If he was 17, he was, what, 20? That's crazy. So yeah, so he was grown, and so I'm just like, go, 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 go. But he, I don't know, it was just weird. I guess he wanted me to like beg for him and stuff. But yeah. But anyways, another situation that had happened between me and him was in April. It was prom time, and so it was gonna be my junior prom, and I wanted to go. And so I was just like, oh, like I want to go, but I didn't know if Pinhead would be able to go because of his age. And so I was just like, oh, and I told him too, I was like, I don't know if you'd be able to go because of your age. And he's like, no, I think it should be fine. I was like, no, like I feel bad because if we try to make plans and you end up going and they don't let you go, I don't want, you know, like I don't want the situation to be like weird, or like I don't want you to get even more upset about it, because he would have gotten upset about it. So I was just like, yeah, like I'll just leave it and I'll just go with Ivy, and then like maybe we could try to plan something after church one day or something. And he was like, oh, okay. And so then I ended up asking my friend to prom, and she was just like, oh yeah. So we asked each other with a big old poster board and everything, and it was cute. We ended up going to prom and everything together. We went out to eat and stuff after, but the whole time during prom, no! My eyeliner dried. What am I? Anyway, so the whole time I was at prom, Pinhead will keep blowing up my phone like, I'm so mad at you. Like, why did you still go to prom and this and that? And I was like, we've talked about like what we were gonna do, and you said, and he had told me before that it was fine that I went to prom with her. So I was like, you had told me that it was fine that I'd go to prom with Patricia. And he's like, yeah, but I still didn't expect you to still go. Just selfish and just trying to pick a fight with me pretty much. And I was just like, what the, like, I don't care. I'm trying to have a good time at my prom. So I ended up like shutting my phone off. As soon as I opened up my phone and like turned it on, I had like maybe like 20 messages from him just going off on me. With him going off on me, I really didn't like care. I didn't end up breaking up with him though, because I was just like, maybe it's just like how I felt in the moment, but maybe he still likes me and I think I should just stay and just see. Maybe like things will change, or I don't know why I stayed. It's just crazy. My mindset then was so dumb. But yeah, I still stayed, even though I didn't really have that many feelings for him. I stayed. It was bad. But a little bit later on, like after the prom had happened, maybe a week after, him and I were like cool and we're all like fine and stuff, still talking. And then C comes up to me again and was like, hey Felicity, is it okay if you go into Pinhead's Snapchat, because I tried going through these and I saw something I didn't like, and whenever I went back to go and look, it showed that like it got deleted, so maybe it's still on Pinhead's Snapchat. And him and I had each other's passwords, so I was like, yeah, that's fine. So I log into his Snapchat, and I see a whole bunch of like random like people that he had added. I was like, what the heck, why are all these people girls? So I was confused. I'm like, oh yeah, like is this what you're looking for? She was like, no, I guess he had deleted it too, but I don't know what's going on. I was like, yeah, okay, but I was like, also too, look, like he has nothing but like these girls on his ew, that was probably an ugly angle, sorry. But I was just like, oh well, you see all these girls, like these girls have never been like, I've never seen these girls like on his Snapchat before. And she was just like, really? And I'm like, yeah. So then I go through and he's like messaging this one girl. He's like, oh my god, you're such a beautiful little England girl, like you're so cute and this and that. And I'm like, what the heck? And so then I go through all these other messages of these girls I've never seen, and he's just steady flirting with all of them, asking them for pictures and stuff. And I was like, what the heck? And so then I get upset and I ended up blowing up on him. I was like, you're cheating on me and I saw your messages and this and that. And he's just like, oh well, it's because I don't see you that often and this and that and this and that. I'm like, okay, then why don't you just break things off with me? And it was just him and I going back and forth, and I ended up overall just like getting tired of it. And I was like, you know what, I think we're done, we should break up. And so he called me and he was like, no, don't break up with me. And I'm just like, no, like I don't want to be with you anymore because clearly it's not working out and I don't have the same feelings for you anyway, so that's fine. Or done. And so he was like, no, I still love you. And he kept blowing my phone up. And then whenever I got home that night, he cried and called me. He was like, please don't break up with me. And I'm like, no, I'm done. He was just like begging me. And I was like, no, I am done. So then finally he like knew like it wasn't gonna get any further because I had already made my mind up. And I didn't want to be with him, so he was just like, fine, well, I'll still love you. And I was like, okay. So I ended up unfriending him on everything, and I didn't hear from him for maybe like a month or so. And so then there would be times where like out of nowhere he'll send me random text messages like, let me see if I could post it, like this. Where he was like, I don't know what it is about you black girls, but I just think y'all are just so beautiful, and I think I'm only attracted to them, like the dark skin, and I love black girls. I'm like, okay, weirdo. And I stayed in that situation for almost a year. Was it a year? I think it was a full-blown year. And again, there would be times where he would always try to like slide his way back in and stuff, and I'd be like, no. But so far this is my makeup. I'm gonna try to finish the rest off camera and then I'll come back on here. My eyeliner dried out. So this is the final look, y'all. This is it. Nothing too crazy. St. Patrick's Day was last weekend? So I'm kind of like behind on the green, but this is what it looks like. So I hope y'all like the look. I'll do something more crazier next time with my other story time. I'll probably do some type of graphic liner. But if y'all have any requests on different eye looks y'all want to see, let me know down below and I'll make sure to do it for y'all. But yeah, hopefully y'all like the video, y'all like the story time. This is my first video, so it's not like the best, and I haven't edited a video like this in like ages, like since high school. And it's been, how many years since high school? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 6 years. So sorry for all the choppiness and the weird mic noises. In the video. I'll be sure to correct it. I got y'all next time. It's gonna be a super professional video next time, I promise, okay? I was just excited to post this one and finally post something because it's been a long time since I've been saying that I was gonna post something on here, but I finally did. If y'all made it to the very end of the video, I love and appreciate y'all, and I hope y'all have a great day, a great night, or whatever time it is right now. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.